Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and this is Show Me Mo Vegan, where I make easy, whole food vegan meals. But lately, I feel like I've been showing you some more complicated recipes. Like a few weeks ago, I made vegan sushi, and I made Swiss chard enchiladas. The recipes were still very easy to make, they just involved several more steps than I usually like to take. So today, I wanted to show you a more typical way that I prepare a meal. I like meals that involve only 1 or 2 steps. This is a great way to use up old veggies as well. I'm always trying to find the perfect balance between having lots of veggies to make it all the way through the week, but not so many that I end up having to throw anything away. But no matter how hard you try, you're bound to have times where you have some veggies that have seen better days. My solution? Soup. So you'll start with either a pot on the stove, an Instant Pot, or on this day I used a crock pot. I had a red cabbage left over that had been hanging out in the fridge for a couple of weeks, so I chopped that up and threw it in. And I've been getting fresh veggies from a local farmer all summer, and we got loads of zucchini this year. So I had several leftover zucchini, some eggplant and bell peppers that needed to get used up. I chopped all of those and added those in. And while I was making this soup to use up old veggies, somehow I didn't have a single onion in the whole house. Usually I'll keep a bag of chopped onions in the freezer for just such occasions, but I didn't even have that. So instead I resorted to using this dried minced onion that I keep in the pantry. I also threw in a little bit of garlic, and to bulk this soup up to make it more filling, I added some red lentils. We also need some liquid, of course. I used vegetable broth. And you'll have to adjust the amount of liquid based on your own preferences. When I'm just cooking vegetables, I'll usually add just enough liquid to barely cover the veggies. But in this case, I'm also cooking the red lentils in the soup, so they'll absorb quite a bit of liquid. I usually err on the side of a little less liquid because you can always add more. You may have noticed I didn't really add any seasonings to this, and that's because I'm simply going to flavor it up with a store-bought salsa. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I try to avoid salt, but I still will allow a little bit of salt in something like salsa. There's really not any good salsas out there that are low sodium or no sodium, so I only use this sparingly. And since the rest of my diet is mostly salt-free, I don't worry too much about it. I'm going to hold off on adding the salsa to my soup though, because there's something about the acidity of the tomatoes that slows the cooking process of the lentils. So I'll let this cook for a couple of hours in my crock pot, and then I'll add the salsa later. When I added the salsa to my soup, I also decided I wanted to add a little bit of frozen corn. So I mixed those in and I let it cook for another hour or 2. And finally, I also had some fresh parsley that needed to be used up, so I stirred that in right at the end. I usually always have some cooked whole grains in the fridge for adding to meals. This week I had one of my favorites, sorghum. So I put some of that in the bottom of a bowl and I'll serve the soup on top. Hit the thumbs up if you love easy, nutritious one-pot meals. And let me know in the comments what you like to throw in your soups. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.